sure. One I'm dealing with constantly, and specifically this month, which I really didn't think was going to happen. So, yeah, here we are to talk about burnout, and I wanted to go over some of your guys' questions, but I think I really wanted to talk about this because I go through it a lot myself, and I wanted to hear how you out there deal with burnout, because we all experience it, and then to kind of discuss how I'm trying to deal with burnout. It's definitely a work in progress for me. I am somebody who's definitely a people pleaser who struggles to say no, and then I feel very guilty about saying no to things. So I would say my first thing I'm learning is to not say yes right away. I'm trying to practice when someone asks for something or needs something or wants something, to just wait, and say, let me think on that. So I'm trying to get better at that. But really what happened with me in the month of September is I thought this month, where is September, right? Yes, that it was going to be this easy month where I could really accomplish everything and have this downtime. And what's interesting is because I had the downtime, I actually ended up committing to way more than was physically possible. And I do think that sometimes I'm Superwoman, and I'm not. I've been told that many times, but stop trying to be Superwoman. So, but I really want to be. But also, too, there's this interesting dynamic that I know is unique, but I'm interested to hear what people have to say, whether it's about work or about parenting or about social life. Sometimes burnout can present itself in multiple different ways. It doesn't have to just be burnout from work. I think burnout can happen because of everything or just because of one of those things, and I'm open to hearing what else you guys feel you get burnout from. But I feel like I'm currently at a moment where it feels like it's burnout from everything. And what's funny is if you ask my friends, I think they're probably like, you've been MIA, so my social burnout shouldn't be there. But I think I'm just so tired that even just one social interaction seems to be really tiring. But that being said, I'm in this weird dynamic where I'm not on a show. I mean, you're not on a show in the acting world. You're not at the mercy, the unpredictability of a shooting schedule, which changes constantly. And so what I realize is because I was on a show for 7 years and then hopped on another show for a year, I realized, like, okay, now I'm in this space where I have this free time. The schedule is mine. And I feel the guilt because I can't use work as an excuse to say no to anything. So I say yes to everything. And I really have to practice no. I know some people are like the power of yes, and I'm like, I need the power of no. But also getting past the guilt of saying no to things. And then how we really take care of ourselves when burnout happens. I tend to lean into getting really guilty. Even more guilt, which is never a good thing, of like, oh my God, now I'm burnt out and I wish I could do more and push my body past that. But the truth is we can only all handle so much. So I'm going to answer some questions, but what I really want to say is you guys submitted so many great statements and words of advice that I am taking. Maybe I think this week chat Wednesday is more for me than for anyone else. I just wanted to say thank you for all of your advice on how you deal with burnout. And it feels really good to know that so many of us deal with it. I mean, not good, that's not a good thing, but to know that we're not alone in this fact that we all experience burnout. And I have empathy for the fact that, like, I'm experiencing, my friends are experiencing, we don't always talk about it, but everyone experiences it at some point. And I just think it's really important to hear that. I think it's really amazing, all of the advice you guys gave, and I'm really excited to share it with everyone because some of the things you guys mentioned really helped me as well. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea too. Oh, they're so right. So I wanted to first go through some questions. I don't know if I have the answers. I read them, and I'm a work in progress when it comes to burnout, so I'm not sure if I have the answers yet. But yeah, I'll start with that. Just getting my little iPad. It says, what is my first sign that I'm starting to feel burnout? To me, it's just being anxious and overwhelmed. Like, it's just too much. Even the simplest things. Like, oh God, I have all these things I have in my to-do list is feeling, and that just for multiple days on end, it's just like my adrenal glands are completely taxed, and I just don't have the bandwidth. So I feel it in my body first and foremost. Unfortunately, the difference between when I start to feel burnout and when I actually start taking care of myself is usually too long of a gap. I feel the burnout, my body feels the burnout, and then it takes a while for me to actually go, okay, what initially kind of comes up in me is I just feel extremely overwhelmed by sometimes the simplest things. I still do them, but I feel this overwhelm and just depletion. It's just complete exhaustion. So yeah. What is the fastest way I disconnect from work stress? I don't know. Work stress in the entertainment, in the acting industry is it's varied in every industry, but in the acting industry, the hard thing about work stress is that it can come at any time. And I'm realizing if I'm not taking care of myself, then when that moment comes where all of a sudden I have an audition or a meeting or a producer session or something, if I'm not in the right frame of mind, I'm already taxed and stressed before my stomach's gonna growl. I started this live so hungry, by the way. This was not. I was like, I should eat something, and I was like, I don't have time. Talk about burnout. And so you might see me eating on the live, but what was I saying? That was the work stress. So by the time I get to that important thing that has to happen now, sessions with producers and auditions and stuff, there are deadlines, there are timelines. You can't avoid it. It's what it is, unless I want to say no. And so if I'm realizing if I'm so taxed before I even get to the audition, I can't give myself the best version. I can't give myself the best chance of actually showing up the best way possible because I'm so taxed. So I'm trying to learn to take care of myself because so much of the acting life is unpredictable. I'm trying to learn on a daily basis to check in and to not be like, I can do one more thing. I can do one more thing today. Because the truth is from a work stress standpoint, it's so unpredictable when those calls and auditions are kind of come in that I need to be prepared and at ease and peace of mind when they do happen. So I basically have to preemptively plan to avoid burnout when it comes to work. And when I was filming, I think burnout, unfortunately, was weird. Not unfortunately, fortunately. When you're filming on something, you kind of have this excuse of like, I'm at the mercy of a shooting schedule and at the emotional toll of what my character's going through. So a lot of times it's easier to say no to things. It's easier to kind of take care of yourself in a weird way because you don't have a choice. Whereas now I'm realizing this work dynamic is I have all the choices, and when I have full control to make all the choices, I want to do it all. And cue burnout. My stomach's growling so much. Okay. Do I have a personal mantra when I feel overwhelmed? My personal mantra would probably be just doing the Calm app. I really find the Calm app, whether it's Tamara Levitt or Jay Shetty, the Calm app for meditation really helps me a lot. I'm at least going to drink some water. Really helps me a lot in regards to just kind of like, they give me the mantra. And it's interesting, it's so funny, I don't know if anyone else believes in kind of like the universe, and it only gives you what you can handle and what you can take on. And it's funny that whenever I really, really, really need a meditation, like I'm like, oh God, okay. The meditation that they're doing that day really resonates with me. And I don't know why or what forces or work to make that happen, but it always feels like that is, it really speaks volumes to me that every time I need that meditation, it is exactly what I need to hear. And the mantra they give me throughout it is like dead on. So that would be my mantra. But trying to go easy on myself, that's just one I'm trying to constantly give myself grace, know I'm doing my best. And just, it doesn't need to be done today. I tend to have this feeling, I don't know if you all feel the same way, but I tend to have this feeling that if I just do this, then I'll get to take a break after. If I just do this, then I'll take a break after. But one more thing, and then I'll take a break. And the truth is I never take the break. So yeah. And then I think that there's more hours in the day than there are, and I can lose sleep, but I can't. Sleep is so important. Okay, I'm taking sleep water. What is one thing I've learned to say no to recently? I think I kind of already touched on this, but I haven't really gotten good at saying no. But I have gotten good at saying, let me think about it. Because I used to always just say yes right off the bat to everything. Be agreeable and a people pleaser. And so now I'm taking my time to go, let me think on that. And I think that's really helped me get to a place of sometimes I can go, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work out. Or I'm sorry, I can't do that. Or it's just, I'm sorry. So yeah, less of a no and more of a let me think on that and I'm sorry. What's a simple free products that I spend all this money on, and they just kind of just perk me up. So I feel like my face routine is something I really cherish every day, as kind of this self-care thing that I do just for myself. But I think food is probably another one too, now that I think about it. I really am somebody who loves food, and so the food I choose to eat, obviously I'm going to be eating something very big after this, is really important, what I put in my body, and so I feel like that's another version of self-care. These are great questions. What's a simple free self-care act? That's the same thing you said. How can you support a friend who's experiencing burnout? I think when it comes to supporting friends with anything, it's just asking what they need. A lot of times, it's just about showing up, letting them know you're there. I would say for me personally, if someone said, what do you need during burnout? Chances are I just need peace and quiet. I just need to not feel guilty for not picking up the phone or responding to that text. Because sometimes I think that happens too. I'm so good at being on top of things that a lot of times, if I don't respond to that email or that text, people get upset. And I think that sometimes it's really important to give people grace, and I try to do the same. If they didn't respond, it's okay. Because I have friends that won't respond right away, and then they text me 3 days later, and they're like, I'm so. So I think sometimes being a friend that just is helps as well. Like, it happens. Life is crazy. It's okay you didn't respond right away. So I think that's an important way to show up and ask what they want and what they need. And if you can give that, then great. And if not, that's you also setting your own boundary. Growing as human beings. And then do I feel like social media contributes to burnout? It can. It absolutely can. I don't know what ways. I think social media is this evolving experiment that we're all a part of right now, and we're trying to figure out the pros and cons to it. To me, I try to make social media as positive as possible. The sites I follow, the people I follow, the stuff I choose to see on social media is uplifting and positive and or educational, and whether it's fitness and health or mental health or people that just post really positive stuff. Viola Davis, Claire Holt, like their pages are, I feel like, very inspiring. There's so many more, but those are the two that popped to my head. I really try to focus on really making my social media algorithm, even though we can't really choose that, something that really is positive. And then I try to use social media as a way to put more positivity out there in the world. So I'm trying. But social media can can probably lead to burnout. I think sometimes we use social media as an escape. I don't want to deal with that thing right now, so let me just scroll on social media, and then time passes, and you really didn't deal with what you needed to deal with or do what you needed to do. Instead, you kind of escaped. But I also don't always know if that's a bad thing. Sometimes we need to turn off for a little bit. I don't know if our brains are turning off when we're on social media, but maybe it's a nice little break from whatever thing is going on in our lives, if what we're looking at is positive. So it's interesting. It's all very interesting. I'm not sure yet if social media can lead to burnout. I think I put a little too much pressure on myself to constantly be giving content and posting and trying my best to create new content while living life. Whether it's trying to edit videos of me playing tennis, or me building a chicken coop, or me putting mirrors in the gym, or me, I've gotten to a point where I'm trying to figure out how can I incorporate just my everyday life into creating content instead of trying to bend over backwards to create content. Really just making the content about life and living and loving. That sounds so cheesy, but I love it. So yeah, I don't know yet, but I'm sure there are elements of social media that can lend to burnout. Great question. We're figuring it out. And the last question is, what is one work boundary I refuse to cross? That's weird to say. Work boundaries are interesting. Again, back to the entertainment industry. It's hard to stand up for ourselves sometimes in the workplace, right? Because we don't want to lose a job. We don't want to say no to a job. In any job, not just acting, but like in any job. We don't want to lose a job. We don't want to piss off our bosses. We want our bosses to like us. So we, as an actor, we get more scenes and we do more things and they hire us again and like all this stuff. So it's hard because it's hard to set boundaries in that environment because you want them to want to work with you again. And for someone like me who's a people pleaser, setting any sort of boundary feels like I'm being a diva and being difficult. And I'm learning to find that balance of like you can set boundaries in a very healthy the show, there's a lot of people after 7 years that wouldn't go in and meet an audition for projects. They just wouldn't do it. They're like, hire me, direct offer. And I'm someone who chooses to go, I'm going to audition. But with that, your ego can get bruised because you're auditioning for things that you're like, they should just offer this to me, right? Like, I've proven myself. But that's just ego-based. And I do love auditioning for things because I get to work on my acting muscle. And I get to put on little plays. And I get to really challenge myself. So I enjoy the act of auditioning, as stressful as it can be at times. But I'm also trying to balance out the boundaries of, are there times when I need to either pass on something or say offer only? Because the act of doing that audition is actually not going to benefit me. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out what the work boundaries are. Unfortunately, in acting, you cannot say no to a work schedule once you're filming. If you are filming and they say you're filming on Tuesday all day, and then all of a sudden at the last second they're like, never mind, you're filming Wednesday all day, and you had plans and you had appointments, there is no there is no boundary there. You are hired to be at the mercy of the schedule, of the shooting schedule, and things change and evolve constantly because that's what the entertainment industry is. There's a lot of moving parts. So when it comes to work, sometimes setting those boundaries are a little more difficult. But I do think you can set boundaries in the acting world. I can set boundaries in the acting world, whether or not I'm willing to do something a certain way, whether it's my character or what I'm wearing or what I feel comfortable in a scene. Those are really the things that I can verbalize as my work boundaries when I'm filming. And when I'm not filming, I'm trying to learn to not overextend myself for stuff that maybe I shouldn't be spending my time on. It's a hard one for me. But I'd love to hear some of your stuff. Maybe if you guys can let me know some of the things that you responded to with some of these questions, that'd be great. But I would love to also so you guys gave so much great advice that I just want to read out this advice for anyone out there that also needs to hear it. Someone said you have to find a way to fill your cup. Do one thing that brings you joy each day. So I loved that. I want to also find something besides just that facial routine and eating good food that really brings me joy. What is that thing that brings me joy every day that actually is also not going to cause me more stress or overwhelm? And I think for me is that just the French lesson. I had been kind of sacrificing that because I've been so busy with travel and everything that I hadn't been doing my French lessons. And they really only asked me to do one little session a day to keep up with Duolingo. And I was putting so much pressure on myself to do multiple lessons a day that I just stopped doing it. So I think for me, that one little thing that'll fill my cup every day is just do one and be okay with one. And if I do more than one, great. But just do one. Trying to set boundaries and learn to say no, that's so important. It is. Being reminded that, what did I just do? Being reminded that my worth isn't tied to my productivity and I should just breathe, that is so important. I think I struggle with that a lot. It sounds like this person does as well, but my worth is not tied to my productivity. Getting those 10 things done on the list, that I usually make the list too long, let's be honest, so it's impossible to complete. It's okay that I didn't do it all. It's okay that maybe I stopped before I finished it and I was like, you know what, I'm done for today. I've done enough. And I'm getting actually pretty good at that. Well, what am I talking about? I'm getting good at recognizing that. I will say yesterday, because I was doing this productivity burnout live, I did yesterday, made a to-do list, and I went out and I did all the things I could do. And then once I got back home, I was like, okay, I'll go do those couple more things. And I was like, no, stop. You've done enough. And that felt really good to do. So if I could just practice that more. I give myself permission to do absolutely nothing. That's a hard one for me. It'll take me a long time for that. I think for me, that's usually when I'm sick. Is when I finally go, okay, I can do nothing. I think I'm trying to get better at going, today I might just do nothing. Today I'm okay with just sitting and reading a book, watching a show, and not feeling guilty about it. That permission, we give ourselves permission to do nothing, is really important and not easy to do for me. For other people, I know that's super easy. Like, personalities are different too. But for me, that's extremely hard. So yeah, give myself permission to do absolutely nothing. Someone said that they find burnout emotionally and physically taxing, but finding a supportive team helped them. So that's good too, finding those people around you that are your support system and what that looks like. I think back in the day, because because I've been traveling so much, which makes it really hard. And because all of us, when we worked on the show, we were all in the same vicinity, so we could all kind of had this built-in team that we're like, oh, we're all on the same schedule, so we all know we have time off at the same time, and we all are, functioning around the same crazy, exhausting schedule, so we all are on the same page. There was this kind of built-in supportive team where we could be like, let's go get wine and hors d'oeuvres. Let's go do that on this time we have off. And it felt like it was built in. And now it's trying to find that supportive team, which I still have, but it's trying to get everyone on the same page to be able to do stuff together and what that is that we're able to do together to feel supportive. But that's a really great one. Someone said I started journaling to write out my thoughts and anything that's not letting me feel at ease, and that helped. That's such an important one. I love journaling. I'm such an advocate for this. I think sometimes I get wrapped up in my own brain and kind of spiraling into things that I don't need to spiral into, and writing things out really helped me too, so I'm glad that helped you as well. Oh, that was loud. That was a loud one. I can't wait to eat. Talk about feeling my body. Let's see. It helps knowing that healing is not a linear process, and that there's always going to be ups and downs, and that is okay. That's so true. Ups and downs are part of growth. It's not going to be like this, and it's not going to be like this. It's going to be like this. And that's really important. I think that's what part of evolving and growing as a person is. I think it's extremely important to give ourselves the grace that, like, not every day is going to be amazing, and on the bad days, it's okay. So, that's super important as well. Like, I came back from Brazil and I slept 12 hours. I was like, I'm not going to set an alarm. I actually think I slept more than 12 hours. And I just slept so hard. So hard. Nothing could wake me up. And I gave myself that. Usually I try to rest, but I still set an alarm. Like, okay, 8 hours is enough. And I was like, I'm so tired. I'm not going to set an alarm. And I didn't. And I slept 12 hours. And it was amazing. Someone said, to combat burnout, I take a full-on factory reset. Take my time and things and slowly work my way back to my normal. It's really, really good. I'm going to take that. Thank you. A factory reset is a really nice way to put it, especially in this era of technology. I'm going to do some factory resets more often. Embracing the fact that even against what my mind is telling me, that it's okay to take a break when needed. Yeah. Fighting against the brain sometimes is a difficult one. So yeah, I think, yes. Fighting against what it's saying and really taking that break is so important. Easier said than done, but I'll continue to work on that. What I find that helps in self-care is changing habits, emotional support from loved ones, exercise and meditation. I agree, exercise and meditation is so important. Exercise has been, obviously, of late, taking a backseat, and I was really shocked by that because I was very easily convinced I could do 56 miles in the month. Well, 28 for sure, 56, absolutely. And my exercise has suffered dramatically this month, and I think part of that was traveling both to London and traveling to Brazil, and thinking that I could hop on the treadmill those mornings and then hop on the treadmills the day I left and hop on the treadmills the day I got back, and I just was really expecting myself to do more. But exercise is so beneficial, as is meditation. Finding that emotional support team is so important as well, whoever that is, journaling, and then changing habits. I think it's important to also recognize the habits that aren't working for us, whatever they may be. And sometimes that's hard to figure out what is not working. For me, sometimes not setting an alarm is not working. Don't set the alarm. Or sometimes setting alarms is what's not working. If I know I don't have to wake up early for something, just don't set an alarm and let my body sleep in and see what it wants to do. Let's see. I find that burnout is our brain saying it needs to take a break. So if I have the time, I try to give myself one, and it helps. So true. So true. I applaud you for recognizing that from your body and really taking the time. First step is admitting to yourself that you're struggling. Tell your workplace what you need and always advocate for yourself. That is so true. I would say I would take that, even after saying all that about the an acting industry. If I am feeling burnout or something's happening, even just mentioning that to producers might change something, might alter something, might have somebody go, okay, we'll work around that. So that's actually really good advice for anyone out there that needs that. And then a tip I'd like to share is to address the cause, not just the symptoms of it. That's so important because we can't change and evolve and fix the burnout and stop repeating this cyclical issue if we don't admit what's causing it. For me, what causes it a lot of times is I have this inability to say no. And so I need to get better at that. I need to learn that and not have guilt around saying no, and no is okay. So yeah, but addressing it, not just treating the symptoms, is so important. So thank you for that word of advice. Some days it's easier than others, but the reminder is that your feelings are important. So true. So true. I guess that goes back to when I say no, I feel guilty. And I feel guilty because I'm afraid of hurting people's feelings. But the truth is, if I'm not protecting my own feelings and my own burnout, then how am I there able to show up for them and their feelings? So it goes hand in hand. Those were great. Burnout's an interesting one. I know that there's a little question box here because I know I turn off captions or commenting as well, so I can't see things, but I want to look at some of your guys' questions that happened in real time. Let's see. Someone said lots of screaming into a hoodie. Yes, that letting it out sometimes like that does help. There's these things like smash rooms or whatever they're called, which I've never done, but I have heard people that have, where you go to a room and you just break stuff. Maybe that could be definitely a way to get rid of, to release. Yep. Learning to say no. Someone said that they feel creatively making things helps them as well, which I need to get back to. Nice. I hope you get better. The person said they've been sick all week and they're watching Station 19. Dancing it out. I do love a little dance break. There really is something really special about a dance break, even by yourself in a kitchen or in a bathroom, in a shower. Like, a dance break is great. Just don't fall. Or fall, but just don't hurt yourself. Setting boundaries between work and personal life. I really struggle with this one, like I said, because the entertainment industry and the acting industry is, I'm my own boss, essentially. I make my own schedule. I decide if I want to go in on stuff or not going on stuff. I decide how much effort and energy I want to put into something, and man, is that sometimes extremely difficult. Someone said I struggle with letting people down. It can ruin their whole week, and they can cry every day if they feel like they're letting people down. And I get that. Sometimes that guilt of letting people down, it's that extreme people-pleasing personality. You just feel completely handicapped at the fact that you can't let people down or else. And that's just a work in progress. Start by saying no to one thing and face what happens and then go from there. It's definitely a work in progress. I feel for you, but I go through the same thing. So, interesting question. Someone says, do you think burnout can sometimes be a positive signal, a wake-up call to realign your life with something more meaningful? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's such a great distinction, that sometimes burnout is, I think the question is, what am I burning myself out on? Do these things need to be done now? I have slight OCD and perfectionism around cleanliness of the house, laundry, things like that I've learned to even just let that stuff kind of go a little bit. I'll never be messy, but it's not this constant stress that I need to get those things done now. But I think it's really important to really take an inventory of, like, the thing that's causing the burnout. Is it actually giving me purpose and a meaningful fulfillment? I think that's really great. That was great advice. Let's see. That same person also said, what small daily habits had the biggest impact in helping you avoid burnout in the long run? The ones that, if I make time for them, which I need to, really meditating, reading a chapter of a book, and working out even 20 minutes really helps me avoid burnout. Running feels like it mentally allows my brain to work through stuff. Meditation feels like it really lets my brain shut off. And reading really feels like it fuels me with knowledge. So those three things, if I just make the time each day. But it's so interesting that an element of burnout is I stop doing, I don't know if anyone else relates, but I stop doing the things that I know will help me from not feeling burnt out. They're the first things I stop doing. When I'm stressed and overwhelmed, the first thing I give up on the reading because I'm too tired when I go to bed. And somehow the day just went by and I forgot to do the meditation. And it's the day. I are the first things to go when I feel overwhelmed. And that's something I really need to take inventory of and reassess and go, this is important. Such great questions. Do I think that the culture of productivity and constant performance fuels burnout? And how can we balance ambition with well-being? Yes. I do think this culture of productivity and constant performance absolutely fuels burnout. I feel like maybe going back to someone saying if social media ties itself or plays into burnout, I think social media to some extent might make us feel like we're not doing enough because we see all these people doing so many things. Oh my God, they're doing that, they're doing this, they're traveling, they're working, they're making time for friends and family and kids, and like we see all the things people are doing and we go, are we not doing enough? I think that constant pressure from both society through social media, from work, that comparison game of, oh, that person is doing a lot more and they're getting much further and they're having much more progress. We don't know everyone's situation. And the truth is maybe they're going at such a speed that eventually they're going to reach burnout. They just haven't reached it yet. I don't know. Or maybe we function differently. But I do believe that, yes, feeling like there needs to be a constant state of productivity and progress and is really, really fuels burnout. And I don't know how to get past that, but to give myself more grace. I think that's really the thing I'm doing right now. And that follow-up question was that, how can we balance ambition with well-being? I think maybe my first thing I would say, since that's such a great question that I hope everyone is also, I don't have the answers. I'm just answering these questions, and I hope everyone is hearing these questions and answering them for themselves as well. But I do think taking the wins as they go along. Okay, like I did that. Pat myself on the back. I did that. Like, that's a win. The little things are a win. Coming up with an idea after stressing about how to come up with an idea. I've been stressing with this podcast. What would it be? How would it go? And I've really kind of feel like I've come to a solid place of what I would want it to be. And that in itself is a win. So, the little wins, even just being okay with the 20-minute workout is a win. I don't know, maybe a win is also, I took a day of rest so that I can really show up the next day in the way I need to. So yeah, it's interesting. How do we balance ambition with well-being? Because ambition really can't exist without you taking care of yourself. Fascinating. Do I think burnout can truly be prevented on an individual level, rest, work, balance, life? Or is it mainly a structural issue linked to society and the way we work? These questions are amazing. I feel like I need to have you on. Do I think burnout can truly be prevented on an individual level? Yes, but it's not easy. Because of those pressures from, at least my own opinion, because of the structural issue linked to society and the way we work, it is extremely hard, I find, for myself, I can't speak for anyone else, to set boundaries. And I think that's the key word is, in order to avoid burnout, it's not just saying these things are what will help me not burn out. It's setting very clear boundaries. And listen, the universe, work, life, social life, it'll push you until your breaking point. It'll go, okay, well, work's going to go, okay, you can do this and 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 do this. And it's expecting you to say no. It's expecting you to set a boundary. And until we start setting those boundaries, which is extremely, almost impossible at times, extremely difficult and at times impossible to set. I struggle with it constantly. But yes, countries is I do feel, especially in America, and I'm not sure about other countries that have that same structure, but I've experienced in more countries the love and the desire for downtime and rest and siestas and it not being so much about like what are we striving for with all of this? What are we actually working towards? I think none of us stop to say, what is the end goal? I think sometimes in America, it might be to get that award, to get that achievement, to get the money to buy that thing. What is it that's really fueling us? What's the end goal? And it just feels like when I travel, this element of needing things or needing that acceptance or validation is not as strong. There's a much more clear sense of individuality and acceptance for themselves and ownership of that instead of needing validation of others. And then there's definitely, in my experience traveling the world, there's not this constant desire to need materialistic things. And I think, I'm not sure, the American dream is you buy a house and you have all the things, you have the nice car and you have the things, is it a boat that makes you happy? Is it a thing over here that makes you happy? You spend all these things, this money on things, and so there's a constant spiraling of things, and then you buy things, but technically you can't afford things, and so then it ends up being that there's no balance because you're working just to pay for this life that you want, but it doesn't bring you joy because you're burning yourself out with work. I wonder if that made any sense. So I do think from an American standpoint, there's a structural issue at play, and the balance is off. I see the balance is much better other places, but I don't live there, so maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see. I'd be very interested. I think this is obviously becoming a bigger topic than I really realized, which really spans a much bigger conversation, has a much bigger scope than I realized. But those questions are fantastic, and I hope some of these resonated with you guys and made you really think, like, what is it you want? Is that burnout serving a purpose, or do you need to reassess what's causing the burnout? Great. My brain is thinking so many things. 10% tomorrow. Yeah, doing your best every day. Someone said your 100% today might be your 10% tomorrow, and that is so true. Cuddling with animals, always a great thing. The worst though is sometimes, I'll say this about Ford, is he'll want to cuddle with me, great. But sometimes he's like a cat. And sometimes I want to cuddle with him and he's like, absolutely not. I don't want to cuddle with you right now. And I'm like, really? It's rude. Yes. So cuddling with animals can also be painful if they don't want to cuddle with you. This is such a great thing to say. Is someone said the hardest thing for me to manage was the fact that you can get burnt out from fun things as well. It's so true. Saying yes to social stuff can also create burnout, and I've definitely been there. I don't want to let down the friends. I want to be at the birthday party, the retirement party, the little girls trip, the thing. Like I want to do all of it. Like all those fun things. I want to do them. I mean, that's like FOMO, right? But the truth is there's only one of me, and I can't do it all. And so I do have to really assess and go, okay, what can I not do? And just be okay with that. That's tough for me too. Okay, I'll take a couple more questions. Break down schedules and breathe. Yep. Have imposter syndrome. I hear that a lot from people. The imposter syndrome thing. I have this weird fearlessness that I never... Is it weird to say that I'm always like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I don't care if it's something I've never done before, I'm going to do it. But I do know a lot of people that feel imposter syndrome and they don't really fit in and they just feel like they're out of sorts. Yeah. Burnout with students is so important to recognize. And with students, it's got to be so debilitating because there's an element of burnout with when you're in school that assignment has to be done at a certain time. That test is not going to change the date. Like there's I can only somewhat remember it back when I was in school because I haven't been in school in so long, but these deadlines are not going to move. you're at the mercy of so many factors, and the truth is you can't control life. And when you're in school at that age is usually when life seems to be kind of all over the place, and you are trying to have a social life too. So it's interesting. It's like the first being in school is like the first initiation into real life, figuring out how do you balance social life with work life, but work life is school life. And I don't. It's hard. It's stressful, and it's definitely something to be acknowledged, because it's a real thing that I feel for everybody who's in school. That it's like, I remember talking to somebody who's going to nursing school. If you're on here, hi, and dealing with the fact that, like, yeah, she's just completely burnt out, completely exhausted. So yeah, I don't have all of it. I don't have anywhere near all the answers. So I don't know, but I think go easy on yourself. I keep saying, give yourself grace. It's what I'm trying to do. And just know you're doing the best you can. Sometimes that's not expecting to get an A. Just turn in the assignment. Or do the best you can on that test. So, okay, I'll do a couple more questions. For this person, it's going outside and doing things they like. They try to avoid staying indoors. That's always a good one. Get out in nature sometimes, just getting out in the sun. I mean, obviously vitamin D is a real thing. If someone else again brought up, yes, you can burn out from school. Is this, I want to make sure. Okay, good. I was like, I realized I had the questions up and I was like, can people see me? Is this frozen? I hope to God it wasn't. Okay. Just do two more questions, or two more things. Non-negotiables. This is a new thing that just came up recently that I kind of never heard that. Non-negotiables. But someone wrote, put time on your calendar that's a non-negotiable for you. Are my non-negotiables meditation, 20 minutes of working out, and reading a chapter in a book, and doing a French lesson every day? Are those my non-negotiables? I think it's really important to make a list of our non-negotiables. Really important. Thank you for that reminder. Someone said, go eat. I will. I didn't expect my stomach to growl this loud, but it's calmed down. I think it was a mix of, like, I knew I was a little hungry, but I could go further. And then, like, don't worry, I had breakfast and everything. But someone said, go eat. I will after this. I think I just didn't realize I was this hungry. I thought I could get through this and then eat, but I'm going to eat after. Someone said, I accept the burnout, the overwhelm, and they cry to sad music. It helps. I will say this. Sometimes you just need a cry session. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think sometimes we view crying as like a weakness. And I loved when I took crying as a strength, as a release. It means I'm in touch with my emotions and I'm feeling things and I'm human. And I sometimes will say, someone laughed at me once, I was like, sometimes you just need to drink a glass of wine and bawl your eyes out. And they started laughing. I was like, there's nothing wrong with it. I could sit there, drink a glass of wine, cry, and still be like laughing at the same time. I think sometimes you just have to release. Sometimes a day sucks or something doesn't go your way. I didn't get a job that I really, really wanted and it just sucks. And you just have to let it out or it just builds up in you. And so I am a huge advocate for just crying in whatever way you need. Cry, car cries, great. Car cries are great too. Like you get in a car, you're just like, I'm going to cry it out. On this drive from here to here, I'm going to cry it out. I am totally an advocate for letting the tears roll. Okay, sorry, I keep saying one more okay. I think maybe that's it. There's so many great ones, it's hard to stop. Yeah, I think we kind of covered, these are all kind of repetitive things. All these things, I could read them all. They're all amazing, but they're all kind of touching. I'm trying to see if there's anything that touches on anything I haven't. I'll leave with this quote. It's a very nice quote. Someone said, when you are happy, look at the earth. When you are sad, look at the sky. I think that's kind of beautiful. I'll end it with that. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful so much fun. I'm really enjoying these WeChat Wednesdays. I am still living on the high from Brazil, as exhausted as I am. It was so wonderful being there, meeting everybody, and gave me a lot of inspiration because whenever I see people and they tell me, I watch the WeChat Wednesdays, I love them so much, because I sit here talking to myself. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it feels really uncomfortable and I'm like, why am I doing this? This is so weird. But it really gives me a lot of comfort and encouragement to know that people are listening and this resonates with people. And I am always open to talk about new things, but I felt burnout was a really relevant one for me right now. Yesterday was the last day of the St. Baldrick's kicking cancer, childhood cancer, and I was really upset with myself for not getting my 28 miles done. Don't worry, I'm still going to complete them with my backpack. But I really beat myself up. And I realized that this month I kind of allowed myself to get into a burnout state. I had a couple cry out days. I did a car cry out. I did a sit in the backyard with a non-alcoholic beer cry out. I did a couple of cry outs because I just felt so overwhelmed and I just felt like there was just no time. And my balance was completely off. And what ended up getting sacrificed was my exercise and my ability to not be able to run those 28 miles, which technically was supposed to be 56 in the end because I raced it all. And I really felt like I was disappointing everyone who donated, and I think that feeling, that overwhelming feeling of guilt and disappointment, reminded me that let's talk about burnout. Let's talk about it. And so I'm glad we got to. I obviously want to apologize for not getting those 28 miles in the month of September, but I wanted to say thank you to everyone for donating to such an important cause. And I will get those miles done. And yeah, I just thank you everyone for the support. Thanks for showing up for WeChat Wednesday again. And I hope this meant something to everyone who watched, and sending you much love. Can't wait